Welcome to the NBA Carousel, brought to you by Sideline Sports in conjunction with Fantasy and Flavors. I'm Megan Price, your host and Spurs representative. The 2020-2021 season is in the books, with Milwaukee as victorious and Phoenix the runner-up. Last Thursday, we also had the draft. Detroit had the number one pick to add to their talented young core. Toronto, the Magic, and the Kings all made nice additions, while others, like the Spurs, left you wondering, what were they thinking? Let's start with a team that got an A-plus draft grade. We will have Will Vogel covering the Charlotte Hornets. Hi, Will.
Hey, Megan. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm pleased. I'm a little nervous, but I'm pleased.
Awesome. Well, tell me about your draft. Who did you guys pick up?
Well, we got Ryan Boatnight, who I'm a huge fan of, and Kai Jones, who I'm also a huge fan of.
Right.
Ryan Boatnight is going to be explosive, I think, off the bench. I think he's a young, good guard who we didn't re-sign Malik Monk, which I'm thankful for. So he will probably be our, seventh man if we still keep Devontae Graham, which I'm hoping we do, because then we can have Ball and Rozier start, and then the backups are Boatnight and Graham. And I think Boatnight's a great scorer. He's a great player, has shown how he is, and I think he was the best player available at the position. And then Kai Jones, one of the analysts, I forgot who it was. It wasn't Jay Billis. It was another guy who does drafts. Said in the last few years, Kai Jones is one of the best rim cutters he's seen in years. And I've been stressing it a lot. And Hornets fans have too. Cody Zeller is not the long-term answer. Bismack Biyombo isn't the long-term answer. Cody Zeller is good at rebounds and points, but he's not that good. He's maybe, I don't know how much he averages. I'm going to say 7. I'm not sure. But I want a guy who can play defensively, be tough, get blocks, get rebounds, fight for position in the post. Cody Zeller doesn't do that, but Bismack Biyombo doesn't do that. I think Kai Jones is going to be a good big man. I think he's one of the steals of the draft. I was talking to my friends pre-draft, and they said, who do you want to see? And I said, I want a big man. I want Kai Jones. And I'm so happy we got him.
And now I know he's technically listed as a power forward, but he's 6'11", and he's got a wingspan of 7'3". So, he can definitely be versatile and move in between both of those positions. Cody Zeller does okay. I'm kind of like you. I think that he's not the long-term answer, but he got you through the season. Did y'all re-sign him, or is he a free agent?
No word on it yet. I'm not
Okay.
pay much attention. But I think that
sorry about that. Someone is at my front door. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead and talk about what y'all are doing in free agency.
So, guys, we haven't done anything really. We let Malik Monk walk, so that was really interesting. I'm kind of happy we're moving on from him. He's a good scorer. He's just not the thing we drafted him to be for. And then Devontae Graham, I hope we re-sign. I think he's a great off-the-bench player. And I know he had the pressure of after Kemba left being the big-time scorer. But I think if he stays, he can teach Boatnight a lot of things. I think Rozier can teach Boatnight a lot of things. And I think Ball can too. I think I would love them all to work together and have Ball and Rozier start, and then have Boatnight and Graham come off the bench, because I don't want just Boatnight to be on by himself off the bench and be the main guard and be like, I'm a rookie. I know Ball did it great. We were all expecting Ball to have great numbers. I'm not expecting amazing numbers for Boatnight his rookie year, but I don't want him to feel the rookie pressure and just crack under pressure. I want someone to be alongside him in the backcourt and lead him through the NBA season and teach him different things. Like, I know the starters can do that, like Rozier and Ball, but I want someone to be with him side by side in the backcourt and said, hey, if this happens, it's okay. I'll be here for you. And same back and forth.
And so with these additions to your team, what are your expectations for next season?
Well, last year, because unfortunately Gordon Hayward got hurt, and it was just a crazy season. Like, it was a short season. It was a crazy season. I'm hoping playoffs. I want to be a 5 through 8 seed. Like, I think personally the top 3 are already solidified. I think it's going to be like Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Philly if they could keep Ben Simmons. But no, I'm expecting a 5 through 8 seed for Charlotte. Hopefully playoffs. That'd be nice. I think Ball deserves the playoff atmosphere. I think it would be great to see him shine in the playoffs. Like, John Morant played amazing in this playoffs, in his first playoffs. Imagine what Lonzo Ball can do. Lonzo Ball can do that too. Like, sure, we lost in a play. We played horrible in that play-in. I don't want to be in a play-in scenario. I want to be secured in the playoffs. I want to be 5 through 8 seed. I don't want to be in a play-in because you never know what's going to happen. I wasn't expecting to get blown out by Indiana. I thought it was going to be a real close game.
Right. Yeah, I did too. I mean, and so they also said that they will be doing the play-in tournament again next season. So we will be able to expect that. So even if they are a 9 or 10th seed, they still have a chance at it. But I understand what you're saying. I would rather go in number 7 or something or number 6.
And already secure a spot.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, you know what? Charlotte has a great young core so far, and it looks like you have a few veterans that'll help y'all get through that, in Rozier and also in Hayward. So, things look bright in Charlotte for the first time in a while. So, congratulations on y'all's draft.
Yeah.
I thought y'all drafted really well. I'm super impressed with Kai Jones. He plays for my college team.
I know.
So, love watching him play.
I'm like, I feel bad we stole him from Megan Spurs, but I know deep down,
y'all did not steal him. The sad thing is he was available when we had a chance to make our pick, and we didn't pick him. So y'all didn't steal him. We just didn't pick him. But we just picked up Zach Collins as a center. So
I think that'll be helpful. I think he's a great young player. He got injury prone, but I think he's going to be good.
I agree. I do believe that, I may have gone a different direction had it been me making the decisions, but, definitely Pirtle, we signed him to an extension last year. And so obviously that is the big that we're going to be running with, but you always need bench depth. So glad we got somebody else on the bench that he can rotate minutes with. And, good luck, and let everybody know where they can find you and they can follow you. And then we'll definitely have you back next season.
Yes, maybe covering the Jazz and the Hornets. I can do a double again. Speak of the Jazz, they re-signed Mike Conley. That's huge.
They did. Very exciting.
Very exciting. You guys can find me here during the season covering the Hornets or the Jazz, sometimes both. And then you can find me on the Gauntlet, and you can find me on the Sip-Up, which is taking a little break.
Correct. Well, thank you so much, Will. We will see you again.
Yes.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move over to a team that has been making a lot of noise. We have Gerald covering the Lakers. Oh, you're muted, Gerald.
How you doing out there?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good. Just wanted to make sure I stop on by. Obviously, the big news during the course of the draft day was Russell Westbrook being traded to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, also as well KCP. Montrezl Harrell opted into his contract, and in the second year opted into the almost $10 million contract, and also was part of that trade along with the 22nd pick, which was subsequently traded to Indiana for Aaron Holiday. So Aaron Holiday was sent over to Washington in that. And then, of course, the Lakers got back also to them a couple second-round picks in 24 and 28, 2024 and 2028. But, yes, the key is Russell Westbrook going to the Lakers. I know JB was excited when I spoke to him earlier today when I was talking about that. But if you listen to our show, The Lakers Fast Break, it's kind of a mixed reaction. It's split right down the middle between those that are really for it because they love the big stars and on the big stage. And those are really against it because of this fit, because it doesn't quite fit. You got someone who is statistically one of the worst shooters of all time, and you bring him over now to your team, who's at an advanced age, who requires a heavy usage of the ball. And, if that's the case, you're taking the ball away from it maybe quite a bit or too much away from the greatest player in the game in LeBron James. So some questions there abound. I don't think this is going to affect the team in the regular season. I just think it's going to be something of a problem in the playoffs. I think that's where the fit and the fact that he cannot shoot will come into play the most.
Well, I do think that at least that gives them quite a bit of time to gel together and maybe find some type of rhythm by the time that, that they get to the playoffs. The anticipation is that they will make it to the playoffs. I personally like the fit. I'm a Russell Westbrook fan. I know he has his problems, but I think some of it was team related, not always him related. And you need an experienced point guard over there, and he is that.
But the problem is, when it comes down to matchups, we saw actually in the bubble with the Lakers, how did they guard the Houston Rockets? They guarded it to allow Russell Westbrook to try and shoot from the outside, and he couldn't get it done then. So I have great concerns. His defense is no longer what it used to be in Oklahoma City. That's also a very great idea of concern. He doesn't shoot free throws well. A great rebounder. And will increase the transition game, which was something that was sorely needed for the Lakers last season. But due to the injuries and the consistency and the cohesion of the group, they just didn't get the transition part of the game done. So that was something that was a great part of the bubble. And part of the reason why they won their championship was their transition. So he definitely helps with that. It just is a big concern, again, when it comes to the playoffs and you've got matchups. And if teams are playing way off him, and he doesn't make them pay, it can make the job a lot harder for AD and LeBron if they want to go ahead and drive into the lane, if that key is smashed in with a whole bunch of players that are laying off of Russell Westbrook.
Now, if he can buy into his role, focus on assists and setting up plays, then I think that he could be cohesive there. But I can see where your concerns come from. Has there anything else been happening in free agency? I know we hear Dwight Howard wants to come back. There's been a few other names thrown in.
He has officially signed with the Lakers along with Trevor Ariza. So we're bringing back Dwight Howard for the third time. And Trevor Ariza for the second time. So I'm hoping they'll go ahead and rekindle some of that magic. Dwight Howard from the bubble and Trevor Ariza. Obviously, he was a great part of our championship team back in 2010. So the Lakers are getting older. I'm hoping that they're getting better. There's still areas of concern. They need to go ahead and work on some depth. And of course, they need a lot of shooting. They need shooting like no tomorrow. That's something of great concern that they don't have right now. Bringing in, the people that they did with, that's not going to help where they need it the most. They're trying to actively go for Patty Mills or Otto Porter Jr. Those have been names that have been heavily rumored that they can try to get with the mid-level exception that they have left, which is right around $5.9 million. And they can see who they can try and get with the minimums that they can try and bring in. But when you basically tapped out on your salary cap by bringing in Russell Westbrook, that's of great concern because he's $44 million on the books right there for you for this season. Right. That's another great concern because now you're paying a lot of luxury tax. So you're all in. And if you're all in, you got to go ahead and do what you can to provide LeBron and AD with the best that you can, whatever you can that's left.
Right. Well, at least you're doing this in free agency instead of at the trade deadline and then expecting results instantly. Now you have some time to gel together. Maybe they can find their rhythm. And a bright spot on that as well in your free agency, Trevor Ariza can shoot the three. I know he's aging, but all you really need him to do is come off the bench and shoot some threes.
Well, that's the thing. He may not be coming off the bench because right now you still have the idea was to put AD at the 5 where he's a better natural fit there and LeBron at the 4. It looks like that it's just the point where you need a couple wings to help you out there that can shoot. Hopefully Trevor Ariza will have the stroke going, but he could become the Lakers starting small forward if that's the case. but that's another thing we have to worry about is who can we need to fill those wing spots. But Trevor Ariza, if he still has anything left, obviously his defense that he's played over the years has been very good. He's been able to go ahead and mount up and D up on the wings that are there. So I think you cannot take his last season in Miami, or the fact he was traded to Miami, all in one thing, because there was a lot of issues going on there. So I really want to go ahead and see what that was all about. But yeah, he might be in to go be a starter as opposed to being a guy coming off the bench for the Lakers.
I was impressed with his time in Houston, and I mean that was even pretty recent. So, hopefully he still, like you said, has that stroke. And if there's any more news, be sure to let us know. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, or expectations?
Oh, expectations for the team. Like I said, I've said this on the show before at the Lakers Fast Break. I've said that they can take anybody. They can take you, me, and your listeners out, one of your listeners out there, and go for 45 wins out there easy, because if LeBron and AD are healthy, you've got 45 wins easy. Getting you 50, 55 with Russell Westbrook, that's not a problem. And Vegas has them as a co-favorites right now, along with Brooklyn Nets. So that, since they've got him, that their odds have increased. That's a good sign for that. A lot of people think that he could be a difference. I'm just concerned right now about the shooting. The Lakers must try to find some shooting, retaining whatever free agents they can, like Alex Caruso, Morris, obviously THT, because he's so young, and the Lakers now, who are getting older as we speak, need to go ahead and provide some youth. But I think that shooting needs to be a paramount concern. And we're seeing right now in free agency what shooting will cost you. And because right now the shooters are getting paid, and paid handsomely. So I'm looking forward to seeing if the Lakers can do anything with what little they have in salary cap left.
And if you're able to land Patty Mills, I'll be incredibly sad, but he's a great shooter, also a three-point shooter. I think he averaged close to 14 points this season. So coming off the bench, that's huge. Hopefully you're able to land him. I hope not, but if you are, it is a great pickup for you guys.
Well, he's either going to go to the Nets or the Lakers. Both teams right now are rumored to be in hot pursuit of him, as he's filling it up over in Tokyo right now for Atlanta, for Australia. And, he's doing a great job there. So he's making his case that he can not only be a contributor, but a starter. And on the Lakers, he would be plugged in as your shooting guard right there for you at the starting right now, because they don't have that spot right now. But yeah, if the Lakers could get him, I think that would be a great addition. Just wanted to make sure that they go ahead and fill whatever spots they need to left with quality individuals that hopefully can, make it easier on LeBron, AD, and Russ. Because if everybody packs in that paint, it's just going to make the job harder for the Lakers.
And he is experienced, but I wouldn't say he's quite to the older section. He's 34, so he's not just quite older as you would consider in the lineup, but experienced, well-seasoned. So hopefully you guys are able to pick him up. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, and they can follow you, your own projects, and we'll definitely see you back next season.
Absolutely. Well, I just finished 2 hours, just got off 2 hours of a full NBA free agency special on the Lakers Fast Break on Facebook. But we do have, again, shows all the time running wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's the Lakers Fast Break. You just type that in there and we come right up. Hopefully you get a chance to listen to us, because we not only cover the NBA draft, the NBA, but also the Lakers, of course. And for all your information, news, and updates, follow us, Lakers Fast Break, on Facebook, or at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter.
Thanks so much, Gerald. We'll see you next season.
Thank you so much. All the best to you, and continued success for you and the show.
You as well. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over, keep it in the West, but slide over to Phoenix. We have Jordan Long covering the Suns. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Megan.
How are you?
I'm pretty good now that we gave Chris Paul the money after he opted out, so that's good.
Right. And so tell me the details of that deal.
It's a 4-year deal. He's going to get paid $120 million for the entire deal, so it's a $30 million contract per year.
And so you signed someone else today too, correct?
I believe so. We just got our free agents back. Cameron Payne's back. So basically we haven't done a whole lot yet. I'm hoping that we will do a little bit more, but we did make a trade during the draft, and we got Landry Shamet for Javon Carter. So Carter goes to Brooklyn, Shamet comes here. But the thing is it's actually a pretty good trade. It just ensures that Shamet will be our backup point guard, because if you really look at it, Carter kind of went away from the rotation. I don't know what exactly happened for Monte Williams, but he didn't play. Shamet's actually just a nice little point guard to have. He averaged 9.3 points and 1.8 rebounds per game. And we saw, especially in the Bucks series, that we didn't have a backup point guard for Chris Paul, which kind of hurt us. So this ensures that.
Absolutely. And I think just the biggest part of the day for you guys is re-signing CP3, because I know there was a ton of questions, whether was he going to head out to California? Was he going to go back over to the Eastern Conference? But you guys were able to retain that. And looks like, I mean, I can't imagine him retiring anywhere else. So it looks like he's going to be retiring a Sun. And I love that fit with you guys. I think he is the leadership that y'all need. And I think he still has at least probably 2 good seasons in him, maybe 3. And I mean, he's got a 4-year deal. So maybe by that point, that leadership is invaluable, what he can teach others. So definitely a huge signing for you guys.
And we saw that this year with Chris Paul and Devon Booker, just because of the fact that you look at the year before, we didn't even make the playoffs. Right. And then having Chris Paul, we were one of the surprises, and we went from not making the playoffs to the 2nd seed. So I think it was definitely a major signing. I was worried. I mean, we've talked about this on the show that I was worried that, especially last week after we didn't win the championship, I was worried Chris Paul would go elsewhere to chase a ring. But I think once the Lakers went ahead and, like Gerald said, talked about the Russell Westbrook trade, that kind of slammed the door on that. And yeah, he could have gone to the East Coast, but I think now we're really trying to build a championship team around Booker and Chris Paul.
Absolutely. And I mean, you guys made it to the finals, so maybe don't fix what's not broken, because it doesn't seem like it's broken. You stayed in the second seed pretty much majority of the season, and could have possibly made a run at the number 1 seed. And I like I just said, I think you don't fix something that's not broken. Like, it's successful. You re-sign the major pieces and keep on pushing through next season. Now, talking about next season, what are your expectations going from there? Not only in your own team, but in some of these other teams that are making big signings.
Well, we know the Lakers are still going to be one of the top teams to chase. I mean, I know they were hurt last year with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The Jazz are still going to be there. Clippers, they haven't made a whole lot of noise yet. I don't know if Kawhi Leonard's going to stay after he opted out. I don't know what's going to go on with them, but even so, they're still a top 4 team, and then you have the Denver Nuggets. But the fact of the matter is, I think as long as we have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, we're going to get free agents. We haven't done a whole lot yet, but our expectations are to be we're in the championship window. So our expectations are to go all the way to the NBA Finals again. Hopefully this time win it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your re-signing CP3 today. And if there's any other news you want to touch on, go ahead and shout it out real quick. Or if you're done, let everybody know where they can find you or follow you.
There's not a whole lot left to talk about. The Suns just getting better. I would like to see a shooter. We'll see if they end up doing that, because we saw what happened in the finals. Our 3-point shooting went away. I'd like to see him get a center behind Ayton. But, I mean, there are a couple out there. And, of course, we got to re-sign Frank Kaminsky, maybe, but he fell out of the rotation. But other than that, we'll see what the Suns do. Again, we're still a number 2 seed. I have definitely enjoyed being here on the NBA Carousel. Hopefully I'll be here next year supporting either the Nuggets or the Suns, because I did both. But you can catch me at Sports Scoop 1 on Twitter, as well as my own blog that I write Mondays through Fridays at sports-scoop.com.
Thanks so much, Jordan. We'll see you back next season. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to the Eastern Conference. We have Cool McCain covering the Bucks. Oh, the Nuggets, sorry. Bucks in the finals. But let's talk Nuggets today. Y'all have had some big news today. You had a good draft. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Denver was able to get some of our pieces to resign, and Will Barton and Jermichael Green. So those were, big moves for us because it allowed us to keep, consistency with what we had last year. We had a great draft pick. We got a guy who's able to, shoot, who's able to score, has good range, kind of questionable on his decision-making skills at this point. But if you're getting a rookie kind of later in the first round, you normally expect that, right? It's either that or it's injury or something, as some reason why he wasn't, picked a little bit earlier. But I think he was a great pick. It's great that we got one guy that we were able to focus in, zero in, make the pick. I personally would have liked to draft a big, but bringing back Jermichael Green negates that a little bit. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to bring him and Barton back. So, yeah, it's good moves being made by Denver. Jamal Murray's progressing on his rehab. I actually read a report today where they were discussing the fact that he's actually a little bit ahead of schedule. So they're attempting to get him to back off a little because they want him more than likely to just sit out until March during the All-Star break, come back after the All-Star break. So that he doesn't push himself and he allows himself to heal as much as possible. So the team should be coming together next year. I think we would have made at least Western Conference Finals last year if Jamal Murray was healthy.
Probably.
So, I feel good about what we're doing. I saw some Spurs news here when I was logging on earlier.
What'd you see?
I think Zach Collins. I saw.
We did sign Zach Collins. We signed Zach Collins, and we need help in our center position. We're obviously going to roll with Pirtle as our starter. We gave him a 2-year extension or a 3-year extension before last season. And so, obviously he's the starter, but we need bench depth. We saw those type of problems with Phoenix when they didn't have a backup big during the finals and the difference that made just in those matchups. So definitely having another big. I would have rather had Jared Allen. I know I've been talking about this pretty much all season, but I'm really happy for Cleveland for re-signing him. I think he's going to be a vital piece to them still having some validity. And so good for them for re-signing him. I had not too happy about my first round draft pick, but welcome to the team and we'll see how it fits. But we have a ton of guards. So my concern was our depth in size. We didn't really have a whole lot of that. So getting Collins is huge. I love our second round pick. He's from Iowa. He is a sharp shooter. He's going to be somebody coming off the bench. I see him being in the same rotation with Devin Vassell likely. And that shooting is going to be vital. We need that. And especially if it looks like we might lose Patty Mills.
It definitely makes sense. Now, of course, another piece of news for the Nuggets is the Jeff Green signing. Love that.
Oh, I do like that. I like that a lot.
I love that. He's another guy that's versatile. He can shoot. That's one of the things that it felt like as we got later in the playoffs, like some guys just couldn't shoot anymore, right? And he's a guy that's a lot of playoff experience. He's going to be a guy that hopefully is going to be another leader on the team, and it's going to help develop some of these young guys and teach them, basketball, professional basketball, how to play, how to grind, how to prepare yourself mentally. Hopefully that he has Michael Porter Jr. beside him half the time, just imparting some wisdom into that young man.
Right.
Because that's something that he definitely needs. And I think that would really expand his game. So I think he's a great piece. And then you think about, we still have Aaron Gordon. So it's a lot of just versatile pieces that we have. And Green is another guy who plays pretty good defense. Right. So you're adding more defense to the team as well. In 2 years, $10 million. I mean, it's great.
Great pickup. Yeah, great pickup. Not overpaid. Way to fit him into that cap right there. And like you brought up Aaron Gordon, you guys made a big splash at the trade deadline. So, necessarily draft news or free agency news is not always going to be big whenever you make a big purchase at the trade dedeadline. But, I really like what you guys have done with your rotation, and we'll see how long did y'all have Aaron Gordon while Murray was healthy? Like 9 or 10 games?
Yeah, it was like 9 or 10 games.
Right.
Yeah.
And they look so dominant just in those, and I know that's a short period of time, but in those 9 to 10 games, so it was about 3 weeks that they played together. You guys were easily looking at making the Western Finals. That was a prediction for a lot of people. So great news for you guys with that. And great news that Jamal Murray is doing really well. Love to see that. But like you say, he needs to take his time so that is a full recovery, not a rushed recovery. No need to rush it. You've got the whole summer, you got the first part of the season. Progress the way you need to progress and don't feel rushed about it. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
As regards to the Nuggets, just also what I really am excited about is the core staying together. I mean, I know I kind of brushed over that earlier, but I think it was a really good team. And sometimes you want to make moves and you want to get rid of this person and you want to grab this person because this person looks shiny. This person's different. This person may can possibly do more than who you have. But sometimes just staying the course with a team that's really solid. But when you lose your leader or one of the two best players on your team, when it happened for us, and you had guys like, Aaron Gordon, but he wasn't there enough to really acclimate to the system and be comfortable. So, keeping everybody together and adding a piece like Jeff Green, who's actually going to play minutes and be a good guy for this team, I'm kind of excited about. I think we are going to lose Paul Millsap, though, but Jeff Green will replace him.
And so there's a lot of interest in Millsap in the free agency currently. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's looking at either going to the Lakers.
Who else are they going to get?
Right. I think if you're a free agent, right, and you're like an older player that doesn't have a ring, I think they're going to automatically say you're going to the Lakers. But I know the Lakers were a team. The Clippers were a team that said we're looking at him. At one point, I heard that Phoenix may be looking at him and Golden State. So, guys that definitely could use what he brings to the table. And not a knock on Paul Millsap at all, but I think he's declined to the point where he can't be what we would need him to be on our team. And Jeff Green, even though he's a little bit older, he's still able to do what we would need out of that position a little bit better.
Absolutely.
And cheaper.
I would like to see Millsap in Phoenix. I think that's a good fit, but I don't know with signing CP3 if they're going to have the cap space for that.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. Let everybody know where they can find you and they can follow you in the in-between time, and we will definitely see you next season.
Well, don't forget about Sacramento's picks.
Oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
Yes.
Cover Sacramento. I forgot.
Yes. I know you did. So they drafted Davion Mitchell in the first round.
Right.
Not a bad pick at all. He's, a really good player. He's aggressive. He's forceful. He's really good offensively. He's a guy that's going to grow on the defensive end of the court. A lot of these young guys are because they don't play a lot of defense anymore. It's not taught. It's not stressed. So there's something that they have to kind of grow into doing once they get into the NBA a lot of times. So he's a guy that, of course, falls into that category. From what I've seen about him, he seems to be a guy that has a good head on his shoulders, and he's a guy that will bring some leadership and help the culture of Sacramento. That's important there. They're kind of like they've been in like a perpetual rebuild. The whole Buddy Hield situation is very interesting to me because when you kind of pretty much almost trade a guy and then that trade doesn't work out. And I mean, if we're being honest, a lot of people said a lot of things, and this is no slight to Buddy Hield, but if you're on the LA Lakers and you have the option to get the same capital leaving to get Buddy Hield or Russell Westbrook, you had better go get Russell Westbrook.
Well, definitely. No, I think that's just star level right there. And no slight to Buddy Hield. Now, I did like some of the core that they had. I thought they were a sleeper team in the first part of the season, not in the second half. Obviously, they were struggling, and they had some injuries. Fox was astronomical in his first year. I think that Mitchell is going to be – I think he has that star power. Now, we saw during the March Madness tournament, we saw Donovan Mitchell sporting – Mitchell's jersey from Baylor during that, and really enjoyed seeing that. I do think he has the ability to be a star. I don't know about a superstar, but he has the ability to be a star. And over there with Fox, I think that could be a deadly shooting combo right there.
Right, and that's going to be interesting. I think he's going to have to find a way to try to move Hield now. Because, especially with this pick as well, you're going to cut into where he would be playing. So I think you want to try to find a way to move Hield. He's not a bad player, but sometimes it's not working on certain teams. Right. So maybe moving him would be, something to be really good for Sacramento moving forward. And then, of course, in the second round, they drafted, I don't know if I'm going to say this correct, but I'm going to give it a shot. Nemius Queta.
Okay.
He's a 7-footer. He's a rim protector. He can play off the ball. He can play on the weak side, the strong side. He's pretty polished actually defensively from what I've read about him. Offensively, potential, the big P word, because obviously you're normally getting one or the other. You're getting a guy that has a lot of offense. You have to work on defense, or you're getting a guy that is really good on defense, but you got to work on the offense. So potential to be a great stopper on defense. He also has the potential to be a good guy to switch. He's a guy that should be able to switch out, kind of like what Milwaukee did in the playoffs a lot before they got to Phoenix when they stopped it, but where you can kind of switch positions, so you can have him guard like a 3 or a 2 until you can, get a switch back, because he's got good feet as well. Gonna have to do a lot of work with him. I think offensively, he's pretty much a dunker, layup guy, maybe a short range jump shot at this point. But you have a lot of shooters on Sacramento, so bringing in a guy that can do some of those other things that you're going to need to do is only going to be beneficial to this team. So I think that they did really well as far as drafting. I think they'll need to add some pieces in free agency. They may need to make swaps and kind of rebuild that team a little bit, actually retool more than rebuild. But I think Sacramento is actually a team that's going to surprise some people in the next few years in the line with what Phoenix has been doing as far as just coming out of nowhere and shooting up. I think Sacramento is that next team. We already know about Memphis, so I think Sacramento is the one to be watching for the next few years.
I absolutely agree. I really think that, they made some noise in the first part of this season, and Johanna and I had talked about that being a sleeper team. And then obviously, they hit the injury bug really bad, but and just kind of some, just discord within the locker room there for a little bit. And so I do agree with you. I think that probably moving Hild is the way to go. Not that he's a bad player, but just the fit is different now, especially with those draft picks. Now the second round one, because I'm not even going to attempt to butcher his name. What school did he go to?
Where was this?
Or did he come out of the G League?
Let me check. Utah State.
Okay. Okay. I really don't know a whole lot about him, to be honest, but I will definitely be watching next season, and because I'm in complete agreement. I think they're going to be a team. Obviously, I don't think they're going to win it next year or the year after that, but I think they're going to make some noise, and I think they may possibly make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll definitely be some teams that I think made it this year that won't make it next year. Definitely be some turnover as far as teams, but we know Golden State's going to definitely be taking their spot back in the playoffs and not in the play-in.
Right. Yeah, definitely. They're going to have Klay Thompson coming back. They're going to have Wiseman coming back. And they made some moves during the draft as well. So look to see a revamped Golden State. I don't think that they're going to be, like you said, I don't think they're going to be in that play-in tournament. I think they're going to be in that maybe 5 to 6 seed range.
And Iguodala may be actually going back to them as well.
I heard that.
Yeah. Of course, the Lakers. So I've heard the Lakers and the Warriors. I think, like I said, anybody who's a veteran player, you're going to hear that they're going to the Lakers until they're signed somewhere else. I mean, it's just going to happen.
So one crazy thing that happened during the draft was the Toronto first-round pick. They ended up not taking Suggs, and Suggs ended up going to Orlando. What were your thoughts on that?
Congratulations, Orlando.
Right. But I really like the pick that Toronto picked up as well. I thought he was great.
Yeah, they did a good job of making that pick, but I think Suggs was the guy that they were going to need. They may have, evaluated otherwise, because you've been playing Van Vliet with Lowry, and Lowry was leaving.
Right.
But I guess maybe you're thinking we're getting back Dragic or whoever you were going to get back in the sign and trade. So we were going to get another guy, so we definitely didn't really actually need that position. People might think in Orlando, well, they already had Cole Anthony, so why would you go get Suggs? Well, Suggs can play in tandem with Anthony. One of the things we've been seeing a lot lately is having two guys in the backcourt that can both handle the ball and kind of share that point guard responsibility.
Right.
Helps out a lot, right? And then when you could take one out, still leave the other one in and kind of, play with the lineup a little bit. So I think that's actually the most no-brainer pick. One of the most no-brainer picks in the draft was them making that pick. If you're Orlando, and I think you had that card ready as soon as you saw that they didn't pick him. You had that card like, if you can take this out there right now, we know what we're doing.
No reason to wait. We know who we're going to take now. But Orlando had a good draft. I expect to see. I don't expect to see them in the playoffs, but I expect them to see keeping somebody from the playoffs.
Oh yeah, it's all about with these teams that are at the bottom that are kind of doing a lot of turnover, a lot of rebuilding. It's all about just building back up, right? You may not make the playoffs the first year, but you were last. You were 12th or 14th. Let's see if we can get the 9th or 10th, maybe get in the play-in, right? Let's just see if we can, take baby steps. And, if you do that, you add the right pieces, you secure the right pieces long-term, you'll end up in situations where you can compete. That's what, pretty much Milwaukee did. That's what teams like Denver did. That's what Phoenix did for the most part. They added Chris Paul, but a lot of those guys were guys, they brought in that they drafted themselves or guys that they brought in free agents, and they were wise about it. So that's kind of the way that you need to go now. Every once in a while you have a team like the Clippers or the Lakers do what they've done. But for the most part, a lot of these teams you're building, or the Nets, but a lot of these teams you're building a slow build. And if you can get a core in place and then add the right pieces around it, once you see who you can get to play together, you can always be a threat and, you can come out of nowhere and make some things happen.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Cool. I've really enjoyed having you on this season. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and we will definitely have you back on next season.
Awesome. Yeah, I've actually enjoyed myself very much being on as well. Appreciate the opportunity. It's been fun. You can find me on all social media at Cool McCain. Also, every Friday night, playcallersportstalk.com. If you're not able to catch the show live, that's fine. You can always go and watch the replays as well. And I can't wait for next season.
Thanks, Cool. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to our next representative. We have Bryce Lewis covering Portland and Atlanta. Hey, Bryce.
Hey, Megan. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just keeping up with everything that's happening right now. So.
Right. Yeah. Tons of free agency news. Let's talk Portland first, and then we'll finish up with Atlanta. What did Portland do in the draft?
Well, actually, heading into the draft, Portland didn't have a draft pick this year, and they were able to trade a future draft pick away to get back into the second round, where they selected Greg Brown from Texas with the 49th pick. 6'9" power forward. So, I guess you could maybe say with them letting go of Zach Collins, maybe potentially, it just depends. But, obviously, Portland right now probably isn't looking at the draft as something as that's going to be a big part of what they're trying to do, especially with all the questions surrounding Damian Lillard right now.
Right.
So, but maybe it's just a pick. Maybe if he can develop, maybe become a really contributing role player in the future.
And actually, he played for my college team, so I watched most of his college career whenever I had a chance. And he played well for us. We made some noise in the tournament last year, so there is definitely room for development. But thanks for letting us have Collins. We definitely needed some help in San Antonio. We needed some new faces. So I really like that pickup for us. And, I think that he will fill a void that we definitely need. We need somebody that we can switch out with Pirtle, fresh legs, and just new rotations when that matchup isn't working right. And I think he could definitely be that person. And if he does well, obviously he could get that starting position, because I'm not completely sold on Pirtle myself.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest thing for Zach Collins is just staying healthy. He's just been hurt. He hasn't played really at all in the last 2 years. And he got hurt again this offseason. So it's one of those things I don't even know what it's looking like. Hopefully he'll be ready to suit up for you guys when season starts. We'll see.
Right.
I'm sure they're going to, side with caution because, with his history, you don't want to just rush him back out here and hope. And listen, you got him on a good deal. So it's not even like, if things don't work out, we spent and wrapped up this much money into him,
Right.
So
yeah, definitely.
for the most part, if he's healthy, you got you a good stretch four, guy who can shoot the three, a guy who is also has some athleticism as well. So, or it could be a really sneaky good role player for the Spurs, especially in the system they run with Greg Popovich. Could definitely excel with his skill set.
Definitely. I completely agree. I know that we're going to have some issues we've had some issues with our 3-point shooting. And if we are looking at losing Patty Mills, which is a good possibility, that is our 3-point shooter. That's our best 3-point shooter, and one of the only ones we have, really. DeMar has basically said that he was out in not those words, but kind of those words. He definitely wants a ring. Can't blame him. That's the object of the game, is to win. And, he wants to go somewhere where he feels like he can win. So, and he's not a 3-point shooter. DeJounte Murray's not a 3-point shooter. Those are all mid-range shooters right there. Great mid-range shooters, but still the same. We don't have a whole lot of 3-point shooting. So we had one other pickup. We picked up Doug McDermott from the Pacers, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think that's going to be a huge pickup for us as well. Now, he is a little shorter as far as being a stretch and being able to go to different positions. So I don't expect him to play anything other than small forward.
Yeah, I mean, Doug, we obviously know about what he did in college, and he's always been looked at as a guy when he gets hot, he can get hot.
Right.
And he also adds some shooting as well. So clearly with both of these moves, they say we're adding shooting. Like I said, if Doug works out, he played really well last year, and that's why he got paid now. So if he can continue that same success again in the system that y'all run, he should be able to get some open shots. And if he can get hot, you may see him go off for 30, even 40 one night, because he has that type of offensive capability. And that's something he's always been able to do since he's been in the league. It's just, maybe people felt like he didn't reach the expectations that maybe they expected from him coming out of Creighton. But he's a guy who's still in the league, still relevant, can still play big minutes if needed, and, is looking just to help, San Antonio, get their offensive woes, changed, especially from a shooting perspective.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Collins, let's switch over to ATL. I know San Antonio was in pursuit of John Collins, but it looks like that's not going to happen now that we signed McDermott. That's probably going to be our big money that we spend right there. But has there been any news in ATL? And then what was your draft like?
Yeah. I'll start with the draft first. So the draft, we drafted Jalen Johnson from Duke, a guy who a lot of people looked at as a lottery pick, slid to us at 20. Had some concerns because with COVID, people can opt out. He opted out mid-season with Duke. Some people say he didn't look that impressive in his games, so some people were questioning us. He quit on his team, things of that nature. But he has a skill set that potentially could develop into a really good player. At 6'9", very athletic, can dunk. A guy who can guard positions 1 through 5, and then we also got I don't know how to say his first name, but his last name Cooper from Auburn. We got him in the second round, and that was also another steal because again, people consider him a lottery talent, but dropping all the way to 48th in the second round. He's a shorter point guard, but it works because Atlanta has Trae Young, and we've clearly shown him and his height doesn't affect his game. He's one of the best points in the game, and people were really excited about that pick. He was considered the best playmaker in the draft as well, and that was one thing Atlanta really needed was a backup point guard who could playmake out when Trae comes off the floor. So now they've acquired him, and he'll be battling for the backup point position with DeLon Wright, who we just traded for from Sacramento, and then with Collins, I actually saw a tweet earlier that said that y'all could still potentially offer Collins big money. Y'all would just have to let go of your rights to Gay, DeRozan, and Mills, and then y'all could get up to like 30 million, I think, to offer him. So it seems like they may be gone anyway, maybe, but
I mean, from what I've heard, definitely DeMar, and it's really looking like, I know Patty's a loyal player, but you can't fault him for wanting to go somewhere where if he goes to the Lakers, he has the chance of, we heard Gerald say he has the chance to be a starter, and he's not a starter on San Antonio. So, I mean, it just kind of depends on what role he wants to do and what he wants to do with the rest of his career. So, I wish him success. I hope we're able to re-sign him, but if not, that is what it is. And Gay, I have enjoyed watching Rudy Gay play for us a lot. I know one of my co-hosts told me that Rudy Gay was going to disappoint, and he was far from that. Now, we haven't been the greatest, but he still was averaging 14 points a game, and he had bigger games. He had the ability to hit up to 25, 26 points at times, and just really kind of revived his career coming over from LA. So I enjoyed him playing for us, but he is, I think, our oldest player. So if it's time to go, then I guess it's time to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the tough decisions that you make. We've seen it, obviously, with Lowry just leaving, and he's been in Toronto his entire career. So, it's just a part of it, and, he's got to, reload from there for the most part and stuff. So, I mean, and then, when it comes to, like, what Atlanta has left to do, I mean, outside of trying to figure out what happens with Collins and that deal and what the deal is going to be, because it looks like a lot of teams' money is shrinking up. The only really need that we have left to maybe try to, get fixed is the backup center, because first, our lottery pick, Okongwu from last year, is going to be out the first 3 months because he got surgery in his torn labrum. And then also just because we also look at, he's 6'9", and then, we got Capella, but we also looking at, we need another big to go against guys like Embiid, like Giannis. And so that's really the only other need I see Atlanta really trying to get filled this during the free agency period, because pretty much the teams don't really have any needs. Basically, you're just banking Trey's going to be great, and every young player that you have in your core is going to get better to the point where now you're competing for getting out of the Eastern Conference and competing for, I guess you could say, championship contention next year. So it'll be interesting to see how they fill that hole. It'll be interesting to see how the rookies play into things, because this team is extremely deep. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do lineups, rotations, and things of that nature.
Awesome. Well, if we're able to get John Collins, I'll be really happy. I feel like, yeah, definitely. I know he played great for you guys, but we need some star power in San Antonio, and I think he has the ability to be that. But if you guys are able to retain him, congratulations to that, because I think he's just a great player. So, is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Any other news?
No, not really. Like I said, we're just waiting for
kind of up in the air for Portland. We're waiting to see what Dame does.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then with ACL, like you said, you guys it's kind of like Phoenix. Don't fix what's not broken. Like, it's worked really, really well for you guys. Maybe a few minor adjustments here and there, but you guys exceeded expectations. Now, I knew you guys were going to be good once I saw how well you played coming off an injury, changing your coaching staff. But I knew you guys were going to be good. I knew you had the ability to be that good, but most people didn't know. So
yeah, a lot of people didn't.
No, I think you guys kind of came out of nowhere. When if you watched the bubble, you knew Phoenix was going to be good, and then they added CP3. So that wasn't a surprise to me, and I feel like Atlanta was the same way. Like, I knew you guys were going to be good just the first part of the season. The injury bug hit you really hard.
Yeah, definitely. And the coaching change and everything, just learning how to relate to your players and getting the most out of them was really big. Because like I said, we have a lot of young guys. So one thing you always want with young teams is develop them, see progression, see progress, see if maybe the guys who have star potential can hit that next level, see if the role players can become great role players. And then, when you're filling out your teams for the future, okay, we got to pay him, et cetera, et cetera. Because that's honestly the biggest question for Atlanta in the next couple of years, is just who they're paying, because they can't pay everybody. So who are you going to pay? Who are you going to let walk? Obviously that's always a big debate already in Atlanta circles, because, Cam Reddish is a big topic of debate, because a lot of people think Cam Reddish is the other player on the team who has that star potential, like he can really be that guy. And some people even said he has a higher ceiling than Trae Young. It's just a matter of him staying on the court and getting play time. So it'll be
I don't know if
interesting
he has a higher
happens.
ceiling. I personally don't think he has a higher ceiling than Trae Young, but I think he has the capability to be very close.
Yeah, definitely. It just really I guess depends on how you view him, because it's just he's a two-way guy. So, and that's what you want in today's game.
Very true. Very true. All right, Bryce, we'll let everybody know where they can find you and follow you. And thank you so much for being on this season and handling both teams when needed. And we will see you back next season.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Baker, for letting me come on here using this platform and sharing my knowledge and talking basketball with everybody. You can catch me on Twitter at Bryce_2K on all my social media platforms. You can also catch me on my articles for Atlanta sports on my website at Brycey2ksports.com, and also my Atlanta Falcons and Hawks shows on my YouTube at Bryce Lewis as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Bryce. We'll see you next season.
You too.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and go over to a team that had an amazing draft. We have Jay Nelson covering the Houston Rockets.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Jay?
Doing good. I'm actually coming to y'all live from beautiful Colorado. I'm out here in Denver. I shared a couple pics with a couple of folks in the group, so shout out Jordan Long and everything. And yeah, Colorado's definitely been good to me since I've been here.
And the weather has been fabulous. I'm not really that far. I'm about 6 hours away. Pretty much almost the same weather. And we have not been hot. It's been nice. It's been like 70s, 80s. It's been really nice for the last few days. So you picked a great time to hit Mile High.
Absolutely. Like this morning, it was like 57 degrees. I was like, what's that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, being from Houston, like, what is that? Okay, so speaking of Houston, let's talk draft. You guys had a great draft.
Yes. I really think that I think that Bleacher Report kind of underrated us because they gave us like a B. I was thinking around B plus, maybe even an A.
Right.
I mean, the name that obviously stands out was Jalen Green, was Jay Green. And he came out averaging 17.9 points per game and 2.8 assists. He was the first to sign to the G League Ignite, and he's coming out of Cal Poly. He actually being reunited with his teammate, Josh Christopher. At Arizona State, he averaged 14.3 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game. And now I said that we were going to get back to big man ball. I said that, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, you definitely did.
So here are the two others that stand out, and both of them are from overseas. They got a little feeble ball under them. So Sagoon is a Turkish native. He averaged 18.6 points per game. He played in 3 FIBA Cup games. And then also you got Garuba. He's coming from Real Madrid. He won the award for ACB Best Young Player and EuroLeague Rising Star. Now, get this. This little tidbit right here. This is only the second time in Houston Rockets history that we selected number 2 overall. The last time was Rudy T in 1970.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I generally have a history of excellence, and so that you're not very high in the draft picks. Yeah.
Exactly. Not very high on the draft picks. Usually we get our stars. But I mean, like, of course, Elijah one kind of fell in our lap, like, back in like 84. But I mean, outside of that, it's just been through like trades. I mean, shoot, like even Kenny Smith came from the Kings and he won with us, you know, and that's just for example. Get this though. By the time the season starts, all 4 draft picks will be 19 years old.
Oh my gosh, they're young.
So we got real young.
Yeah,
we got real
young.
fast.
Well, I really like that Green pickup though, and I liked his decision, or him just exercising his decision to go to the G League. I thought that was something a good way to get some experience, and then that way, whenever you come into the NBA, when you come into the actual league, you have a little bit of experience now, and you have some players that you didn't deal with on the college level, and then also the one you were talking about, it was the Turkish one that's played in three FIBA Cups. That's huge. That's some experience that I mean, it's just very underrated to pick him up. What, second round?
Right around the second round. Sagoon, I think he might have went actually third. But,
okay.
This is the thing that people have to realize about the overseas players. And sure, they'll be 19 years old, but they've been over there balling against grown men since they were like 16, 17. Like, look at Luka. Luka's been crossing them dudes up since he was like 15, So, of course, he came over here, and Luka isn't but, 23? And he's already, like, lighting it up. He's probably going to win MVP in a year or two, maybe even this season, But you take these two guys, and it's crazy because like the Garuba pick, I'm kind of getting Luis Scola vibe from way back.
Okay.
Scola was a banger, and he came from Argentina, So yeah, these overseas dudes, man, they're bringing a lot of heat. We got real young, and that's a nice little team that we're building around John Wall and Christian Wood. I'm glad that we got some big men back. Oh, speaking of big men, we just signed free agent Daniel Theus to a 4-year, $36 million deal.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. That's a very interesting pickup right there.
It's the total opposite of what that other guy was doing a year ago.
I don't want to talk about him. No, I don't want to. But you know what? At the end of the season, you guys, just your style of play, you weren't necessarily winning games, but I liked what I seen out of your core. Out of Martin, out of Olenek, like some of the other pickups that y'all had. Olenek, I was very impressed with what he was doing over there in Houston. So my thought was, even though you weren't winning games, y'all were playing pretty well. You were still in the game. You weren't getting blown out just a ton at those last few games. And it seemed like there was a good rhythm coming into place. Right. And then, having such a high draft pick, that just brings up all the hype up right there. And I think y'all got the right person.
We got the right person at the right time. And you're absolutely correct. It's not like we were getting like dogged every game. Because if you notice, we kept it close with contenders. The Bucks, the Sixers, we were keeping it pretty close with contenders. So I think, see, I want to see this. This is the team that I've been talking about right now because now we got our draft picks. Now I want to see what Silas does with these guys. Now I want to see what's good with building them around Wood and having John Wall there as that veteran piece. Now I want to see what comes together. And if all things pan out, I can see us stealing the 6th seed.
Interesting. Okay, you got y'all that high. All right. I think, but I mean, I can't dispute it because I really did like what I was seeing out of you guys at the very last couple weeks of the season. So is there anything else you wanted to touch on about Houston or any of the other team pickups?
That's about it. I mean, just running through all 4 of them. I really like the picks. You know, they're all 19 years old to start the season. They got all the rave from sports media alike. I'm just glad that Houston front office finally got it right because you know what the Texans is doing.
Well, and I can tell you what it's like for somebody that didn't use their first round pick in the same way that you thought they should have. I definitely felt like we should have been more aggressive in a big, but I mean, I guess we had plans. I don't know if we knew that we were going to get Zach Collins or if we're still going to pursue a different big, but go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you. And thank you so much for being on with me this season.
All right. You all can find me on Twitter at NellyNell13. That's NELLINEL13. Also, you can find me on the Sip Off hosted by Megan Price. It's on Thursdays now. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can also find me on the Sports Gauntlet, co-hosted by James Tatum, myself, and Tyler Ingram. That's being moved to Tuesdays. We're gonna get it back up and running here shortly. We just finished the first season. Also, I'm on Roku for visual dramatic as VizD Productions. I'm a commentator. I just did a live commentary on Simone Biles. So when it comes out, I will let everybody know. Please check it out. It's about Simone Biles and what's going on with her, as well as the updated medal count. Shout out Craig Davis. Shout out Marshall Hill, my Unconventional Kings fam. I'll see y'all next season.
All right, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the first season of the NBA Carousel. Thank you so much for watching, participating in the shows, and we will see you back next season. Thank you so much for watching.